Indeed, it's one of the most important days in the short history of this Trudeau government. So let's get to that top story. As we said, today's the deadline for Canada to join that new trade deal reached by the U.S. and Mexico. So joining us now with the latest from Washington is Glenn McGregor of CTV News. Good morning, Glenn.
Hi there, Ben.
Okay, so let's talk about this deadline. It's a deadline because Donald Trump has said it's a deadline, but what happens if Canada doesn't reach a deal, but we're really, really close?
Well, I think possibly the U.S. will agree to keep extending the negotiations. And one possible outcome today is that we get some kind of agreement in principle, an agreement to keep talking and deferring, Ben, those major issues further down the road. That would allow both sides to claim that they have reached an agreement in principle, but keep the channel open and give them more time to hammer out some of those complicated issues like subsidies in the dairy sector and also the dispute settlement mechanism.
Well, I'm glad you brought those up because, Prime Minister Trudeau has said that he was going to defend supply management. He didn't say he was going to defend the dairy industry, which would have given him some wiggle room. He specifically noticed supply management. So how do we square that circle?
Well, it's possible that he could give some concessions to the Americans, allowing them more access to the Canadian market, giving them more quota space so that American dairy farmers could sell more product into Canada without actually taking apart the supply management system. That would allow him to say he has defended that system, but also giving a little bit to the Americans to say that they had are able to claim a win on the dairy file, Ben.
We could be feeling the political ramifications of this deal for a while to come. There's a provincial election in Quebec right now. Candidates very vocal on the issue of dairy. Could we see, if this deal gets done and it affects our supply management system, could we see this become a federal political issue as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're only a little over a year from the next federal election. For the Liberals, winning back a lot of seats in Quebec is crucial to holding on to their majority, and so they're very sensitive to the political ramifications of making any major concessions on dairy. Now, they've already made concessions in through the Europe-Canada trade deal and also through the revamped Trans-Pacific Partnership. There was some movement there on dairy, so there is a little bit of wiggle room politically for the Liberals, but not a whole lot. And also, Quebec election underway right now with Premier Philippe Couillard yesterday, again talking about how important it is for the federal government to protect the industry that is really so vitally important to his province.
Glenn McGregor, thanks for your thoughts on this morning.
Thanks, man.